do my work. But every city agency has a different percentage. From DDC, which is Department of Design and Construction, handles a variety of projects from borough-based jails to some public facilities, to NYCHA, which is New York City Housing Authority, the Department of Transportation, to Battery Park City, which is a state agency, and Office of General Services, which is another state agency. They all have different goals. You need to study each one of their goals when the RFP comes out. Some of them can range as high as 36% of SDVOB, which is generally the state, and there's some city agencies that are that high. Department of Transportation only has DB goals. I didn't mention
DBE, sorry, yes. DBE is Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. Apologize, I did miss that.
There's not a test after this.
So DOT only has 12% goal. NYCHA, which is New York City Housing Authority, has a 30% goal. And one of the things that these agencies are starting to do, is DDC is the forefront of that, is they are breaking it now down by ethnicity. That 10% has to be for Black-owned businesses, 10% has to be Hispanic-owned businesses, 10% other, which would be woman, Asian, Hindu. So they even break it down further. And the fines for not meeting these goals are huge. So on the private side, I know, and I can talk more about the public side as we get further presentation. On the private side, we do have some clients such as Disney, Coca-Cola. Disney have been doing their work since the mid-90s. Each year a questionnaire comes out. What's our percentage of MWBE goals? That we act not only on the individual Disney projects, but as a company as a whole. And now for me it's even harder because since my firm merged with a national firm and we self-perform a lot of work, it's very hard to meet those goals on a global level. On a project by project basis, we always meet our goals. We have some words in our office: no waiver accepted, which means my office is not allowed to send out a waiver to a client asking them for reduction in our MWBE compliance. And that came from me, didn't come from anybody else. But once we decided 3 years ago to really start making a run at the public works, we really needed to build up our MWBE spending. It's very hard. I say MWBE, but there's diversity spending, and so that's been our push as a company to make sure that we meet or exceed our goals, whether it's public, private. And what we're doing now is tracking even our jobs that don't have the requirements, just to see what goals we can hit. We try to mandate, if there are no goals by a client, to hit 15%. But when it's a client-driven goal, we always exceed their requirements.
Before we move to item number 3, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, particularly on the private, again, on the public side, right, you're in New York City, but across the state, whether this state that we're in, California, 25% goal. Most of the states are pretty aggressive. Texas does a lot of goals via yet another accreditation certification called the Hub Zone. That's a federal designation. A lot of the universities utilize the Hub Zone to hire MWBEs through that. So you see that. So it's across the country. Each state, each city, right? Generally, you'll see. And Steve mentioned, sometimes there are fines and penalties. We're seeing that a little bit more and more now, where there's liquidated damages, particularly on the construction side. Haven't seen it on the corporate side, but it does exist, and so it prompts you to have a conversation about how to help your client, right, avoid liquidated damages. They're usually $5,000 to $1,000 a day, so it's no joke.
Usually it's 10% of the goal. So if you miss a goal by X amount of dollars, the fine can be That's generally what we're seeing on the RFQs, which could be a lot of money.
Could be a lot of money, yeah. And then on the private side, what I wanted to also share is that, so how are these goals sometimes stimulated when an IBM doesn't have taxpayer dollars, they don't have anyone outside